Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of my junk silver. Most of this is circulating. There's a few examples that are not circulating, but they're had for so close to spot that I feel they're junk. We'll talk about them more later. Just because I call them junk silver doesn't mean they're not valuable. In fact, I think they're great. So I actually made these bags, and if shipping was different, I'd probably be plugging an Etsy store or something right now. We're going to go from the lowest purity to the highest purity. I break them out by 10 percentage groups. Great, let's get started. Starting in the 50% bag, these are all just 50%. We are going to start with the florin from Australia. So from 1946 to 1963, Australia made florins that were 50% silver. These are lower purity than the earlier ones, which we will get to later. Here's the standard design that they had: the emu, the kangaroo, the sovereign. So this would be grandma's dad, so great grandpa, I guess. We got George VI. They also made some commemoratives. So this one was for 50 years of federation, 1901 to 1951. Once again, got the king there. You got the royal marks, the scepter, the sword. Australia at this time was part of the domain, or was in federation, I guess is the correct terminology. All right, then 1954. These ones always wear weird. This is maybe the best example I have. This is a commemorative for Queen Elizabeth, so grandma's first royal visit to Australia. Now, yeah, our head get kind of mangled here. I mean, this is circulating silver. It was used as money. You can see the lion and the kangaroo. I have quite a few of these. A lot of this stuff I got for really, really cheap in Taipei a few years ago. Pretty much all my Australian coins were pretty cheap buys in Taipei. So this would have been King George VI, and Elizabeth II would show up on these. Now, the other 50% here, and I just have one. This is my only junk silver from New Zealand. Now, New Zealand didn't produce a lot of junk silver from my understanding. They didn't produce it for many years. And it was all 50%. So here we have 1 shilling. You can see a warrior, the Aboriginal soldiers there, the Maori? Maui. No, I can't remember. They do the haka. Interesting culture. I've never been to New Zealand. It's one of those places I'd love to go. And there you have George V, Emperor. Bum, bum, bum. It's pretty cool. So this is the 50% stuff I have. So this is the lowest purity I keep in the bags. I have some US 40%. I have some war nickels. I have some numismatics. So anything numismatic I'm not including in these bags here, of course, that are of lower purity. The 40%, honestly, I usually kind of just collect them up until I got a bunch and silver's high. I sell them. That's when I was living in the United States. I don't know how many I have, but they were probably all sitting in the US. I have 1 war nickel, I think. All right, next up is the 60%. I've already talked quite a bit. I made a whole video about Japanese junk silver. 60% is one of the most common that can be had at a low premium. I made a whole video about it, talking about these coins. I have quite a few. This is probably locally the most common junk silver I pick up. Sometimes I find foreign stuff at a good price. I did get $1 of US junk silver for really cheap. As far as the designs here, we have the Phoenix here. This was only for 2 years, 1957, 1958, or show it 32 and 33. We have the rice pattern here. This is the last circulating silver Japanese coin. This would have been 1959 to 1966. So that would have been Showa 34 to 41. And then we have the Olympics. So that was, that was only 1964 during the Olympics. So Showa 39. I'll put a link to the longer video I did about junk silver in Japan. Now we are looking at the 70% bag. Now, once again, we have a lot of Japanese coins. These are 50 cents from 1922 to 1938. They're 72% silver. Like I said, there's that long video about Japanese junk silver where I cover these extensively. I personally like these, and I buy them whenever I can get them for a decent price. These are actually probably one of my favorite junk silvers, gonna be totally honest. All right, now we're moving on to the Dutch East Indies, or the Netherlands East Indies. This is when what is now Indonesia was a colony of the Dutch, the Netherlands. So their unit there was the gulden. So we have 1/4. And one of the problems with Indonesia is, well, it's like any of those kind of archipelago nations. They really were only united in recent history, and they usually have massively different cultures and beliefs going on. So a lot of times you get a strongman. So these were made in 1941. So these two would have actually been made in the United States. This is the 1/4. It's 72% silver. The 1/4 was around in some form. Design changed, weight stayed the same from 1903 to 1945. Mostly the design changed. Same idea with the 1/10. This is also a case of produced in the United States, 1941. Oh yeah, I should put the years for these ones. Yeah, 1941. I think they're all 1941. So at this point, World War II was going on. Indonesia was pretty much under control of the Japanese mostly. You know, they were still fighting over areas. So the money was manufactured in the United States. That was not uncommon for that time period. 1/10 is tiny and cute. All right. Next, keeping with the 72%, we have the Mexican Olympics. So this would be 19... Yeah, can I get it to focus? Yes, 1968. This is 25 pesos. It is, oh, they even write it right there, 72% purity. These are pretty nice coins. I got this in Ashikaga, actually. I got this in Ashikaga, Japan, actually, for only 1,000 yen, which is, if I'm not mistaken, is actually lower than melt. All right, and then moving up to 75%, we have from the Philippines. So this would be the Commonwealth period. The United States was still running the show. It actually even says here, United States of America. It's got the crest, the eagle, 1945. So this would actually have been pretty late. And you flip it over to the other side. You see 10 centavos, Philippines. You see the volcano. Actually, this one's pretty good about sometimes the smoke from the volcano doesn't show up very well on older coins. But so this would be 75% silver. This one's in not as good condition, actually. Yeah, so this is actually the condition you find most of them in. You can barely make out the smoke from the volcano. A lot more scratches and gouges. This one's been circulated a lot more heavy. The other one looks like it might have sat in a drawer. That happens. You know, my wife being from the Philippines and my kid being half Filipino, I kind of like when I run across silver coins from the Philippines. And now we're on the 80%. So now we're starting to get quite pure. One of the nice things about 80% is it's still decently durable, kind of like the 70%, but much higher purity. I've always kind of felt that if you actually wanted to make a circulating silver coin, the upper 70s to the 80s was probably a good midway point. You'll see more why when we get to the 90% silver. So first off, we have some Japanese coins. These are 80%, 50 cents. This one's actually from the Meiji period, 50 sen, and then later. So the 50 cents stayed 80% purity, all the way up to the Taisho period. So any 50 sen between 1870, so Meijing 3, and 1917, so Taisho 6, is going to be 80% silver. The difference is going to be the size. Basically, instead of making the coins less pure, like that video I talked about with debasement, instead they just made the coin smaller. So same purity, smaller coin. And then eventually they broke down and went with a less pure and even smaller 50 sen. Very rarely do these coins show up in junk bins, but when they do, and they have a pretty low premium, I buy them. They probably have some technical numismatic premium, but these are all rough, I guess is the best word for them. I didn't talk about them as much as junk, but they're kind of an exception. Sometimes you find them, you're lucky, I buy them. All right, let's move on to Canada. So Canada, 80%, they did this in their quarters, or 25 cents, from 1937, so that would be George VI, to 1966, which would be Elizabeth II. After that, they went to 50%, but they only did that for 1 year. All right, so here we go. We got George VI, old Georgie boy. He's looking good, 80% silver. Yeah, these are nice coins. I kind of always like the Canadian coins with the animals on it. I like the caribou and stuff. All right, now we're going to jump up from 80% to 83.5%. The 5 francs was made out of silver from 1959 to 1969. This is a 1961 silver coin. They continued later making the 10 and the 50 franc as silver coins. You can see the sun here. You can see like pretty much any République, Fraternité, Republic of France. Wait, oh yeah, here. The ideals of France. Yeah, pretty nice coin. I don't know much to say about it. I pulled it out of a world coin bin. I think in Taipei. Maybe. Oh, I think I remember this. I thought it was one of those ones that was in like with all these other world coins. And I was like, God, I think those are silver. Oh, I think they were still silver that year. And I bought it. It was pretty cheap on the whim, and chance it was. All right. Now for maybe the one that, like these, is kind of a weird one to put in a junk stack. These were not circulating coins. These were a series of specials that Austria made. They were non-circulating coins. These were 80% silver. They made them from 1955 to 1973, and they would have different historical figures from Austria or places on it. They didn't circulate. However, I bought all of these for pretty much melt or a small amount over, enough of a premium to be like junk silver. So that's why I include it in the junk silver stack. I don't seem to have any. Oh, there's a repeat numismatic value, and I got them at junk silver prices. So that's why I put them in there. What are your thoughts on that? Would you put a coin like this, one that was a commemorative but was not circulating, but you buy at prices like a junk silver, would you put this in your junk silver stack, or would you put it somewhere else? Tell me down in the comments. Now we get to the 90%. This might be a bit of a controversial take, but I don't really like this purity for circulating silver coins. Why is that? Well, it's soft and it very, very easily gets worn and rubbed down. So coins that have circulated a lot that are 90%, this one is sterling, 92.5. Oftentimes they're really, really worn and they've lost some weight. So if I was going to make a circulating silver coinage, I don't think I would do 90%. Maybe 75s, upper 70, 72, or even into the low 80s, I feel like is the good spot for circulating silver coinage. The stuff just gets rubbed down, it's soft, it loses weight, it just doesn't hold up as well as the coins that have a lower purity. Alright, so let's get into them. Once again, I have Austrians, shillings. These were not circulating coins, but I keep them in here because of the price that I bought them at and the fact that they seem to regularly sell at comparably low premiums. They don't really seem to hold any numismatic value as far as I've ever seen at shops when I'm looking around. Maybe if I was in Austria, that story would be different. Maybe I should look that up if I'm ever going to Austria and can take these with me and maybe get more than my fair share that I would get for them here in Asia or the United States, and get some other Austrian stuff. I have actually a lot of Austrian coins between the Philharmonics and a few Thalers. Anyways, once again, historical figures. Starting in 1959 to 1973, they made these 50 shilling silver coins as commemoratives. Then after that, they decreased the purity, and they stuck around for a few more years. They're 90%, unlike the 25s that are 80%. So we have a king, and we got the Olympics. All right, let's move on to United States coinage. So we're going to start with this little thing. It's called a dime. It's worth 1/10 of a dollar, or 10 cents, 100 cents to a dollar. As far as this design here, they use this from 1916 to 1945. They call it the Mercury. It's got Mercury on it, dime. It was replaced by another silver coin that went from 1946 to 1964. And then after 1964, the dime is not made out of silver. So for US 90% circulating silver, 1964 was the last year. They also make the quarter. So this is 1/4, a quarter of a dollar. So 25 cents. It's got an eagle on it. As far as this design, they made it from 1932 to 1964. It's 90% silver. I don't have much else to say about it. Its design stayed in use for a long time. If you're dealing with US coinage, most of them before 1964, the quarters, the dimes, and the half dollars are going to be 90%. Unless you go far enough back, let's see, before 1837 for the dimes was a lower purity. It was 89 point something. I think it was just they couldn't make it pure enough. For quarters, before, I want to say 1838. And then I want to say it was also 1838 for the halves. If you go that far back, first off, you're not dealing with junk silver. This is complete numismatic territory, but they're not quite 90% for some reason. I'm not sure. I should look it up sometime. Actually, I feel like it probably... Where's my... No. My red book is actually in the United States right now, so I'm not going to be able to actually look that up. Why? All right, so we have the halves. This one is called Benjamin Franklin. This was made from 1948 to 1963. They made one more year with the new design in 90% silver, a few more years in 40%, but these are 90%. I actually really like this design. It's one of my favorite designs. I kind of like the US half dollars in general. I feel like they're a good size. A lot of times I feel like they weren't circulated as much as some of the others, so the wear is not as bad. Here, oh yeah, this was just in a mess of foreign coins at a shop I went to in Taipei. I mean, they had everything, and it was just one of those places where this shop specialized in Asian currencies, Japanese, Chinese, Taiwanese, and so the stuff that wasn't from there a lot of times just got dumped in a bin or in bags put together. A lot of my 50% Australian silver came from that shop, and they were just in a bag together. And the dealer, I had a pretty good relationship with him, so he was like, yeah, he gave me a pretty good deal as long as I bought the whole bag. I actually ended up with a lot of, actually that's how I ended up with these too. The 25 shillings was just, they were all in a bag together, and he offered me a deal if I bought them all, and he didn't have to deal with them. And I feel like he was that way with a lot of foreign coinage. Anyways, this is often called the Walking Liberty half dollar. Because here's Lady Liberty, she's walking. It's a pretty cool design. This one's from 1945. Honestly, my favorite part of this is the eagle. I think this eagle looks regal and intimidating. Yeah, he looks pretty sharp. So this walker design they made from 1916 to 1947. Yeah, it's a half dollar. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. All right, and then let's move to the sterling. Actually, this, and I think these all came from the same shop. The same deal of, yeah, these were in a different bag of sterling. Where basically the coin shop owner gave me a deal, an all or nothing deal. Take them all for this price, and it was a pretty good price, so I ended up buying them. So sterling silver from Argentina. From Australia, the florins. They were made out of sterling from 1910 to 1945. Sterling, if you don't know, is 92.5% silver. So this started with Edward II and went to George VI. There's Georgie boy. Oh, this one, wow one. What is this? Oh, this is George V. Ah, there's a few Georgie V's here. Okay. Yeah. And the design stayed pretty similar, although slowly over time it got more detail. Okay, let's see the older one. Yep. Oh, this is a 2 shilling. Well, yeah, same thing. Well, it's marked as 2 shillings. There were the 5th. I didn't know that. Yeah, 1 florin, 2 shillings. Same value, but these ones I think are just marked 1 florin. Oh, I just noticed that. Yeah, so in the older coins they put that a florin is 2 shillings. Huh, interesting. Notice that. These are getting older and kind of worn down. Oh, yeah, look at that. 1970. You can't even see the kangaroo's head. Like, this is the problem with 90% in sterling. I have nothing wrong against it. You notice I buy plenty and I like it, but it's just, it really gets worn. It really gets beat. It just doesn't survive as much as others. I hope you enjoyed this video about the junk silver that I've collected. If you like it, please hit the thumbs up button. Please go into the comments. Tell me which coins you like, which coins you didn't like. Maybe even what purities you prefer. Do you have a preferred purity? If you like this type of video, you like what I do, hit subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers. Last time I checked them at 97. I'm so close. Yeah. And if you could share this with people, other people that might find coinage or silver interesting, or silver from around the world, I greatly appreciate it. Probably in my next video dealing with coins, next week is the flea market. Hopefully I find some interesting coins there. I also have a shipment of coins from, I'm not going to tell you what country. That's going to be part of the fun of it. But it's coming all the way from Norway. So we might not see those until March with how shipping is. Anyways, see you in the next one.